Now let's think about how PR and marketing overlap, how those can be integrated under this corporate communication umbrella that I had introduced last time. Here's a model that we're going to use to start filling in these blanks. What I'd like for you to do is take a moment, hit pause, recreate this in your notes because we need to fill in all of those A, B, C, D, and E, and then all the blanks that are associated with those. So go ahead and do that now. Um, First of all, PR and marketing. The on the left side, right, this is marketing. Go ahead and fill in that blank. And we will think of the circle on the right as public relations. Those overlap like a Venn diagram. There are things that the PR and the marketing function do together, collaborate on. They build synergy. And then there's some other things that PR-oriented communication professionals would do uniquely, and some things that the marketing people have greater acumen and training in, so they would focus on. But we really have to make sure that marketing and the public relations activities are feeding in and creating synergy among one another as they are attempting as a corporation to orchestrate this communication with internal and external stakeholders for mutual understanding, mutual adaptation, and mutual success. So let's start thinking. Marketing communications is this red circle. And so when we think about the communications activities that marketing is engaged in, let's understand what marketing communications would entail. Some of that is advertising. Okay, so this green circle, a subset of marketing communications, is advertising. And advertising falls into two different flavors, two different varieties of advertising activities. Some of it is mass advertising, and some of it is what is considered corporate advertising. And you can see this corporate advertising falls more under a public relations focused lens, and then mass advertising falls under more of a marketing focused lens. So let's think about what that is. Let's define each of those. So mass advertising is most of the advertising that we think about, that direct advertising of products and services to increase awareness, preference, and demand for those products and services. Advertising products or services to increase awareness, preference, and demand. And so we put these in a whole variety of channels. We put those at mass advertisements out in radio, TV, print, digital ads. Sometimes we advertise by putting the brand or a logo and a slogan on a given item. So we have branded items. Events or programs that we sponsor also allow us. Monster Energy, for example, does a lot to sponsor the X Games, or Red Bull sponsors a whole variety of extreme sports, or Budweiser is a sponsor of most football, professional football games, etc. Outdoor ads, pop-up ads that pop up on all of our socials and when you're online, search engine ads. You do search, social media ads, sponsored web content. There's a whole variety of ways to advertise and a whole variety of channels to use or tactics to use in order to get your products or services advertised. And that's most often what we think of as a very marketing focus. We're trying to market and promote the products and services. However, on the other hand, we have a PR focused corporate advertising. This is when you run ads about the company itself. You're running an advertisement about the company to attract investors, recruit employees, or perhaps help retain employees, to enhance the corporation's reputation, to build stakeholder support. Perhaps your organization would run a corporate ad talking about, like for example, right now, Amazon is running a corporate ad talking about all of the items that they donated to help fight the pandemic, all the meals that they have provided and distributed in order to feed the hungry who are unemployed during the pandemic, all of those kind of things that are really about advertising the company. And so here's an example, right? This is Coca-Cola. On the left, we see an ad, live on the Coke side of life. Coca-Cola, we're advertising product, and the image, of course, creates this impression that when you drink Coke, you just live a fun, energetic life. It's great. Now, on the other side, on the right side, is an ad where Coke is saying what they are doing in order to be more green. How are they helping the economy? Or not the economy, but how are they helping the ecosystem? How are they helping the environment? And so sustainable packaging, taking steps towards a cleaner, greener planet. And here it says the Coca-Cola Company has invested over $60 million in building the largest recycling plant in order to support our nation's conservation movement. And so this, hey, look, not only does Coke make a great product that you might want to drink, but it also is interested in the environment and being environmentally conscious as a corporation. And so you got to understand how do those fit together. I mean, there's so much about the image and the design and the look that reminds you of the product that the marketers are trying to get people to consume. And so there has to be a collaboration. Are we doing enough to advertise the corporation so people want to invest in it? They want to have a relationship with the company. All of the stakeholder groups that have a stake in the company itself is much different than maybe the consumer that has an interest in the product and consuming the product. And so you have to think, how are we using this entire umbrella of advertising and integrating the PR necessities as well as the marketing necessities of advertisement? So continuing on, filling in some of these other blanks, part of your marketing communications down here is direct marketing and sales promotions. And direct marketing and sales promotions, those are a little different. So let's think about each of those uniquely to understand what they are. Direct marketing is all of your sales communication with consumers. Right. That might be face to face. You walk into AT&T and there's a representative there who walks up to you and says, "Hey, how can I help you today?" Right. Some of it, direct marketing, may be you as a representative of the organization getting on the phone and talking to a potential customer or an existing customer in order to market your product, to sell that product. So this is all sales communication focused, right? Face to face, on the phone. Sometimes we do this online. There'll be a little dialogue box that pops up. Hey, I'm here to help you make your decision. What questions can I help you with? I don't know if you've been online. If you look at a car dealer website, most of them there'll be some computer generated person that pops up. I mean, they always use generic photographs, and there's some little, hey, I'm Sue, can I help you? And then if you really have a series of questions, then somebody's going to call you directly, right? And so that online sales, direct mailing is still very important for sales communication. Emails that get sent out. I know that in the past I got emails from companies or seen products that without that email spamming, into my inbox, I probably would have been unaware. And in fact, some of it generates people making purchasing decisions. And then once a company gets your information, right, then they can text you likewise on your phone and send you an announcement. And I know I get announcements from places that I shopped in the past, and from time to time, here's the text. All of that in the name of driving sales, right? So that direct marketing communication is part of that marketing communications activity. But then we also have sales promotions. And these are all the messages that we send to people to stimulate additional sales, promote sales, amplify sales. And much of what you will do as a professional is to help plan how are we going to promote? How are we going to get more people coming in the door? Like, for example, discounts or coupons. I've often said if Murray State needs more students, give me coupons. And I'll go out and start handing out coupons to students, right? I mean, if I have a prospective student and can hand them a $2,000 coupon, that's going to make them think, hey, I want to come to Murray State. Instead, we don't call them coupons, we call them scholarships, right? But I would just like the freedom to hand people a coupon. Hey, if you sign up, here's a discount, right? Something like that. Free gifts are a way to promote sales. An add-on, come in and buy, will also add on or throw in something. Maybe we will upgrade your stay at the hotel. We'll upgrade you to a better suite, or a finer room, or we'll offer the free breakfast or whatever it is. So there's often add-ons that are offered. Special limited time offers are very compelling. It's all part of that sales promotion. Credits and vouchers that we give, demonstrations. Maybe you've been in that sort of environment. You walk down to Costco, for example, or you go to Kroger and then or Walmart, and there'll be somebody handing out free samples. Or when you're in the mall and you're walking, they're handing out free samples. If they want to demonstrate, if you're a woman, here's our hair straightener. Let's demonstrate this for you, or whatever it might be. The cosmetic counter is always full of demonstrations. Here's our cosmetics. Here's how you apply them. Here, let me show you. That drives sales. Guarantees our way. What's the warranty? What's the guarantee? And then also offering bonuses or for referring a customer, right? I can get a bonus, or I can get some kind of commission if I recommend somebody to go to a particular store and buy something and mention my name. I get some kind of commission, or if I'm actually the salesperson. So all of this is part of that communication effort with that one stakeholder group of consumer. Right, and so the competition that we create among the sales force also helps to amplify sales. I mean, you always know if the Girl Scouts knock on your door trying to sell you cookies, that's a competition. There's something in it for them, and so that competition helps them likewise be more persistent in knocking on the door and doing the direct marketing activities that you see listed above. So anyway, understanding that, appreciating it, applying it, and using those strategies. Right, corporate communication is all about strategy. Strategically orchestrating communication. And so you have to understand these strategies, not because you will be in charge of all of them, but you have to be able to call on the people who have those expertise, right? The marketing people who really know how to do these things. The cost accountants who can really figure out what kind of coupon can we offer and at what cost would that be? What advantage is that going to create? I mean, there's all kinds of what is it, cost benefit analysis. Is it favorable to give out free gifts? And what would that free gift be? Well, we're going to have to research to figure these things out. So there's this integration of competencies which are necessary to communicate and promote your product or service just to the consumer. But likewise, when the consumer is treated well, then they likewise provide that feedback in social media that everybody else sees, that everybody else reads, right? It trickles into the community. Likewise, it trickles into the suppliers, another one of your important stakeholder groups. Somebody in the supply chain has that vested interest in, are you taking good care of the consumer? Can I count on, if I'm a supplier for Honda or Toyota, for example, is Honda and Toyota going to be successful? So I want to know what the consumer is saying about Honda as a company, because if I'm part of that supply chain, right, or if I'm a representative of the union for the employees who work there, I want to know what's being said. So all of these start to feed into one another. They are not separate, but they're all necessary in order to orchestrate that ecosystem of stakeholders and make sure that they are thriving together, right? It's for mutual understanding, mutual adaptation, and mutual success. So just as one example helps you sort of think about it in this web of interdependence. Now, let's think about some of the other things that we haven't filled in yet. And the last one of those is this idea of marketing public relations. So the public relations activities that have a marketing or product or service promotion sort of bent, but they are done in the name of public relations to create goodwill and support among that variety of stakeholders. And so here's how this is defined. Marketing public relations. The use of PR tools for marketing products or services, such as product publicity, right? Not only do we need publicity about the company and the good things that the company are doing, but we need good product publicity. So, for example, when you have, say, a talk show, and here's Ellen DeGeneres, she's doing a talk show, and she has some chef come on, and the chef does some cooking demonstration, and the chef is there talking up the products that your company has placed with that chef to take on that show, right? That's somehow publicity. It's not really a traditional advertisement, but it's a way for you to be seen and associated with a credible, objective news source, right? If Ellen DeGeneres on the Ellen Show is showing your product, like Coca-Cola, for example, right? Then you kind of find that, like, well, it's part of a PR activity, and it's also part of a marketing. It's getting us some product publicity without really looking like an advertisement. So there's sometimes those fine lines, or when Ellen on her show gives away, so and so, this or that company is going to give everybody in the audience a free fill in the blank, right? Those kind of create publicity for your product. Likewise, you can get news outlets to do a story on how somebody used a particular product and what that did for as a news item. Product sponsorships of special events or special causes. And so, like the example of the hospital that supports the 5K or the 10K run that raises money for some disease, or if it's a company like Heinz, Heinz makes ketchup and pickles and all kinds of condiments and that sort of thing. And so, if Heinz is sponsoring like something at the state fair, hey, it's a special event, and look, they're the sponsors for a booth, or they're the sponsors for an event, or if it's to raise money for a special cause, all better, right? And so sometimes we really need to think about how is that PR activity driving marketing? Are we making the most of those opportunities to be sponsors of getting publicity about our products or publicity about our services? So that's kind of that whole web. That's how all those pieces of the puzzle fit together. Okay, PR, marketing, where they overlap, and some of those shared collaborations or how they feed into one another. So I wanted to give you just this little quick overview of that.